guys, how are you? Wow, am I glad to see you. What a great day. Thank you for joining me tonight. Sharon and I are doing this thing called the Cultivated Life Ministries. And we've been married for 40 plus years. We've been in ministry for 40 plus years. And so we've been asking ourselves, like, what do we do when we, as we start to move out of more active ministry and leadership, carrying the weight of ministry, and how do we continue to add value? Paul says this thing in when he writes to Timothy in his second letter. He says, I'm being poured out as a drink offering. And this goes back to, this is analogy to the Old Testament drink offerings, where whether it be a wine or some other drink that they would bring it as a sacrifice to the Lord and pour it on the altar, and they would literally not want to keep one drop inside the cup. They would want to make sure that they poured every last drop out of the cup because it was a sacrifice. It was a drink offering before the Lord. And so Paul is saying, I want to do that right before my last breath. I want to see that last drop that I have be poured out for the Lord. And Sharon and I are looking at our life, and we've got plenty of years ahead of us, but we're asking, how can we add the most value? And so we're going to we are taking 40 plus years of ministry and marriage, and we are doing the Cultivated Life Ministries. We're writing books. Some of those books are here. We are doing seminars, and we're working in marriage retreats and helping people with parenting stuff, and just trying to do what we can to see disciples built. We're living in a time where we're not seeing disciples built. We're seeing believers that come to Christ. They initiate a walk with God, but they don't have the strength or the character of foundation in their relationship with God. And so Sharon and I feel a real burden for this. We just have this saying, we want to raise up a generation that knows God. So one of the books that I've recently released, and I want to take a few minutes and introduce to you. You can buy this on Amazon. You can go to Amazon and look up Building Character by Jonthan R. Perry. It'll pop up. You can order it there. And so I just want to share a few principles out of this book that I think might be beneficial to you. But I'm going to encourage you to get the whole book because there's just a wealth of information in here. But our world is really perplexed right now. The loss of morality. You got situational ethics. You got cancel culture. You've got liberal theology. I mean, it's like we have lost the art of character. Character is an art. It's a something that's developed and learned and honed and worked out in our lives. You've probably heard somebody say, they're showing you a piece of furniture and they're like, oh, but it's got character because it's got some dents and dings and scratches, right? That means it's durable. It stood the test of time. Those dents and dings and scratches, that's not a negative. It really can add value depending on the strength of the furniture. And so when we talk about our character as individuals, we look at the dents, the dings, and scratches, right? We look at our own life and we realize, you know what? Those things didn't take me down. They added value to me and they helped make me the person I am today. That's what character is learning from our past, not staying there, learning from our mistakes, not staying in those mistakes, learning from our mess ups and our trips and falls, right? The wise man says that a good man will fall 7 times. That's not what makes him a good man. What makes him a good man is that he gets up every single time and learns from the mistake, looks at the past, sees where he tripped, and says, I'm going to do better the next time. So let's talk about character. When we talk about character, the first chapter I jump into when we talk about building character is reputation. And Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 1 says it like this. It says, dead flies putrefy the perfumer's ointment and cause it to give off a foul odor. Watch this now. Here's what it says. So does a little folly to one respected for wisdom and honor. This verse refers to our reputation. I've heard it said, and I have found it to be true, that the best time to protect your reputation is before you get one, right? Come on. The best time to protect your reputation is before you get one. Here's what we have to remember, is it's every day, little by little, you're either building up your character or you're tearing down your reputation. You only have one reputation. I think it was Warren Buffett who said it only takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. Hey, I want to challenge you to think about your character in light of reputation. If we call ourselves Christians, the ruling factor should be the kingdom of God and the rules of the kingdom. And these rules do not fit the agenda of humanity all the time. Therefore, we're going to stand up, we're going to stand out, we're going to be different because we are people of character. We want to walk with good character and good integrity. The second chapter, we talk about character and the little things, and I absolutely love this story, and I've told this story a number of times over the years for probably 40 of the 42 or 43 or 44 years that we've been doing ministry and marriage. Sometimes I forget because we're getting old and I have to sit and figure it all up again. But high atop the Andes Mountains, there's snow that falls. And that snow will fall and pack until spring comes. And then it will begin to melt. And it flows down these cold streams into what becomes the Amazon River. And the Amazon River is 4,000 miles long. And it pushes fresh water 1,000 miles into the ocean. Fresh water can be found 1,000 miles into the ocean because of the force. But it all starts with snowflakes. It all starts with little things. I think it is so important that we take notice of the little things in our lives, because many times we'll think about the big things. We'll focus on the big things. We'll get overly concerned about the things that are kind of obvious and out there. But character is really made up of all the little decisions we make every day. Abraham Lincoln lived by a motto, and it would probably do us good to remember it and live by it as well. But he says, I do the very best I know how, I do the very best I can, and I mean to keep doing just that. That's all you got. Do the best you know, the best you can, and keep doing that. A lot of little things, but I'm here to tell you, it's going to build your character. Now, let's talk about chapter 3, character and influence. If we're going to develop strong character, we must consider what influences our character. What are the outside influences that has an impact on our character? What makes us think the way we do? What makes us act the way we do? What makes us talk the way we do? What gives us our decision-making strength or weakness? What, in essence, we're talking about destiny. What's determining our destiny? I want real quickly, I just want to point out 5 things that are going to influence your character, and that is, number 1, what you see. Very important that you protect the eyes. This is one of your gateways into your soul. Your eyes are one of your gateways into who you are. Number 2, what you hear. It's another gateway into who you are. What you hear, what you listen to, what you give your ear to. Number 3, what you read. There's a bunch of information in the book that kind of breaks all this down, but number 3 is what you read. You need to develop a habit of reading. And maybe I'm a little more passionate about this than some people are, but I was a slow learner and couldn't read until I was in the 7th grade. And my school principal, Dr. Roger Hoagland, took time to sit down with me and help me learn to read. And he changed my life. I was just with him a few days ago, and man, I put my arms around with him, and I know I'm 60, I'm getting sappy in my old age, but man, I had to cry because this guy literally changed my life, right? I couldn't read. I was in the 7th grade. I had no chance of really getting very far in life. But I learned to read, and from that, I learned what to read. Learning to read is important. Learning what to read is equally important. Next is who you keep company with. Come on. Who's sitting at your table? who's riding in the car with you, who you doing lunch with, who's in your crowd, right? Who's in your tribe? And then another one is your thoughts. What are you thinking? Now we're talking about influences over your character. These are the 5 things that influence your character. And I really want to encourage you to grab this and kind of break these down. Now, the 4th chapter is talking about character and the Sermon on the Mount. This is a special chapter to me because my father-in-law, when I married Sharon, my wife, I entered into a wonderful family. My mother and father-in-law were just, they're amazing people. My mother-in-law's passed on. My father-in-law is just a mighty man of God. But I don't think I've heard him preach too many times to where at some point in the message, he's a pastor, pastored for many, many years, where he doesn't bring in either the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5, 6, and 7, or some powerful point from the Sermon on the Mount. And so there's like 105 verses in the Sermon on the Mount. 72 of those verses deal with character. 105 verses, 72 deal with character issues. I would encourage you not only to buy this book and order this book on Amazon, but I would highly encourage you to get out the Bible and read Matthew 5, 6, and 7. That may be all you need. You might be able to say, forget that book. I ain't getting that book. I want to go straight to the Bible. Matthew 5, 6, and 7. Great, great study on character. Chapter 5, character and your name. Character and your name. Here's how I open that chapter. Let me read it to you. Weeks, months, and years went by before the man finally achieved his goal of discovery. Now it was perfected, and the perfect invention brought him great wealth. But joy did not accompany that wealth. Every time his invention was put to use, it brought great destruction to someone somewhere. His invention was the bomb. His name was Mr. Nobel. Trying to make the wrongs right, he donated all of his riches to a trust. And each year, men and women who strive for peace receive what we now know as the Nobel Peace Prize. Mr. Nobel wanted his name to be remembered for peace rather than destruction. The wise man Solomon says it like this: a good name is better than great riches. Man, I'm telling you, there is a power in protecting your name and protecting who you identify as and the person that you are. The next chapter, chapter 6, we talk about character and God's holiness. And man, I don't have time to break this down, but Psalms 111, in the book, I actually break down Psalms 111, and it has some really powerful points on the character of God, the character of God. And then in chapter 7, we talk about character and our holiness. And this is where I break down Psalms 112. 111 talks about God's character. Psalms 112 talks about the character of man. And so a lot of people will find themselves in bad situations. And it's because they choose to live a life according to their own agendas, right? I heard a statement the other day that said, don't claim victimhood if you made decisions to land yourself where you are. I butchered it, but you get the point, right? I should have memorized it a little better. I just heard it in passing. You can't claim a victim if you made the choices to be where you are. If you're continuing to make the choices to stay where you are, you have to make better decisions, change your situation. And this is how holiness works itself out, is we put ourselves in a place to really develop this. Peter talks about this in 1 Peter chapter 1 and 13 about girding up the loins of your mind. He talks about rest in the grace of Jesus Christ. He says, become obedient children. He says, because God is holy, now we can be holy. So let me challenge you that whatever unholiness is affecting or infecting your character, fix that, because it will change your life. It will change your life. The next chapter is character or the lack thereof. This is chapter number 8. And when we talk about character, we all know those who have character And then we all know those who are characters. Come on, come on. You just thought of somebody right now and you thought, boy, they're a character. Come on, I know you're hearing what I'm saying right now. There's a danger, though, in missing the school of hard knocks. And if we don't know how to get to the top, we won't know how to stay at the top. And so this is the importance of us walking through life and not being overly protective. Let me just mention, if you're a parent, don't helicopter your children. Don't over ease your children. They need to experience hard things. They need to scrape their knees. They need to fall off the bike, because every time you protect them from experiencing the consequences or just the failures and the success, you're keeping them from developing character. And then you end up with generations. Don't look around too far right now, but you'll see it, entire generations who lack character because they were overprotected, raised by helicopter parents, not given the opportunity to run, play, fall, scrape knees, fall off of bikes, get back up, figure life out, and have parents that simply instill truth into them, all right? Which leads to chapter 9, character and failure. To err is human. Nobody is extinct from failing. We just talked about it, right? Last chapter. Fall off the bike, scrape your knees, go through the hard knocks of life. Failure is going to be a part of our life. But what we do with the failure, and when we have somebody protecting us from dealing with the failure, then it's not going to go well, right? So we need to figure out, when I fall, right? We just mentioned this a few minutes ago. I shall arise. When I sit in darkness, the Lord's going to be a light before me. And so when we look at Hebrews 11, man, that's called the heroes of faith, or the Hall of Fame, if you will, for great Old Testament people. But really, they weren't that great. Some of them were even horrible people. I mean, they lied, they cheated, they got drunk, they slept with women they weren't supposed to sleep with. They did all kinds of crazy stuff. But the thing that got them to Hebrews 11, I'm going to try not to preach here right now, but this is a good preaching point. The thing that got them to Hebrews 11 was chapter 11, verse 1 says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Hoped. That word, hope. They're not listed there because they reached perfection. Their names are recorded because they never lost hope. They never quit. They never gave up. They never threw in the towel. The only difference between failure and success is that success doesn't give up hope. I don't know what you've been going through, but I'm here to tell you, you can win. You can develop this. You can overcome if you're willing to lay hold of hope and press forward. So that gives you a little idea as to what this book is about. Let me encourage you, get into the get into the internets. I sound like an old guy, don't I? Get on Amazon. Get on Amazon, buy the book, and I think it'll be a blessing to you. There's also small group notes at the end of every chapter. So this would be a great book for some small group studies. If you have maybe a small group or even a family devotion time, this would be a great book for family devotion time. A lot of uses in that book. Hey, thank you so much for being a part of our time together in this session. I'm going to encourage you. Share, like, follow us, give us the thumbs up, leave a comment. If you're getting on Amazon right now, come on, drop me a note. Hey, just bought it on Amazon, and I just can't wait to hear about what you think of the book when you get it and when you share it with your family and friends. Hey, thank you for joining me tonight. God bless you. I look forward to seeing you real soon.